Hey, this is the video to kick off and summarize what we're going to be doing in week 2 of our spring flag camp. We had a great first week, awesome turnout. Kids had a great time. They learned a bunch of good stuff. Coaches had some fun. So we're really excited to move on to the second week. So this will be a little bit quicker of an overview where we just kind of go through what drills we're going to be doing, what the stations are going to look like, the flow, everything like that. So really kind of kicking it off high level with the schedule. From 1:30, or sorry, from 1 to 2:30, we are going to have 6U and 10U going. They are going to be the same areas as before, where 10U is going to be in the back right of the field house, 6U is going to be towards the front. We're going to even out the space a little bit, so 6U has a little bit more room and 10U has a little bit less room. And both groups are going to have 4 stations between 1 and 2:30. 6U is going to have run right, run left with Ryan and Matt. They're going to have the toll booth with John and Matthew. They're going to have the snake with Phil and Darren, and they're going to have step back with myself. 10U is going to have 4 stations, partner snapping again with Chris and Mark, pass routes with Nathan and Aaron, sweep with James and Jill, and RPO with Nate and JR. Then next up, we have our 8U and 12U groups going from 3 to 4:30. Again, going to be in the same areas. 8U is going to be in the front right. 12U is going to be in the back right, with 8U having a little bit more room this week and 12U having a little bit less room. So 8U is going to have 4 stations: the route station with Jeremy and Troy, snake with Thomas and Brian, sweep with Brian and Kurt, and catching with Michael, Kirk, and Kyle. And then 12U is going to have 4 stations this week, not 3, a little bit of tweaking and improvements. We're going to have partner snapping with Nathan, pass routes with Josh, sweep with David and Michael, and rushing with Chris. Okay, so I want to go through each age group, talk about the drills that we're going to be doing, what we're going to be focusing on, and why. So with 6U, really the day is going to look very similar to last week, except for we are putting the name tags on the front for all the kids today, so it's easier to organize into groups, and we can get everyone in the proper groups, which was a little bit of an oversight from last week, but you live and you learn, right? So starting at station 1, which will be run right, run left, is going to be the Colts and the Lions. Colts are going to have black lettering, Lions are going to have blue lettering. Station 2, which is toll booth, we're going to have the Chargers and Cowboys, Chargers in red lettering, Cowboys in yellow lettering. Starting at station 3, which is snake, we're going to have the Eagles and Raiders, Eagles in orange lettering, Raiders in pink lettering. And then station number 4, Rams and Titans doing the step back, Rams in green, Titans in purple. And then we're going to rotate clockwise just like we did before. Realistically, what we're going to do with 6U is we are going to keep on progressing pretty slowly with the 6U group. We have a pretty good mix, like 50-50 or thereabouts, between first-year players and returning players. And it's going to be really, really important for us to move at a somewhat gradual pace, so that way everyone can learn the fundamentals before moving too quickly. Some of the other groups, after seeing week 1, we're going to move, at a more quick pace. But this group, we are not. We're gonna take things a little bit slower and get the basics down right. So first station we want to talk about is run right, run left. Really, this is going to be a progression of 2 different things that we did last week. So last week we did snapping, just partner snapping, quarterback and center just switching on and off. And then we did stationary handoffs between the quarterback and the running back. This week we are combining those 2 stations into 1 station. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to set it up so we have a cone for the center to be on, and then we have a cone about 3 yards back for the running back to be on. And then you have a cone out, let's say about 4 yards out, 1 to the right, 1 to the left, and that's used as a guideline to where the running back's going to go after they take the handoff. So we're going to break the group of kids up into 2 lines. Essentially, the first player that's in line is going to move up to the next cone. They're going to be the center. Next player in line is going to start as the quarterback, so they'll move right behind the center. And the third player is going to be the running back. We really want to make sure everyone starts off in a good stance. Center lines up, feet a little bit wider than shoulder width, drop their butt down, good hand placement on the ball where the ball's just kind of like right under their nose. Quarterback's going to, call the cadence, goal set hit. On hit, center's going to snap the ball, turning it into the quarterback's hands. They're going to have the alligator hands wide open so they can take the snap. And then when we're going to go through the first time, we're going to be doing a run right. The quarterback is going to step to the right, offer up the ball with two hands. Running back's going to run into the ball and approach the ball with creating that good breadbasket with the inside elbow up, keeping their eyes up. They're going to take it and they're going to run that ball to the cone on the right. After we get a chance to all go through, then we're going to switch up and go to the left. Same exact thing for the center. Quarterback's going to take the snap. This time they're going to step to the left and they're going to present the ball to the left. Running back's going to take it inside elbow up and run to the left cone. So slight progression from what we did last week. Second station we got is a toll booth drill. We are, again, progressing a little bit with this drill. Same concept as we did last week, except for we're going to have a defender, but we're also going to have a quarterback giving a handoff to the running back. So again, we could practice these handoffs as much as possible because we really need the kids to start to understand, the technique and really try to make this as automatic as possible. Taking a good handoff is extremely important. So we're going to have the two cones out there for the defender, roughly, 3 yards apart. And that's really the line the running back is looking to cross. And then we're going to have one cone out there for the quarterback, 3 yards back. We're going to have the running back. Quarterback's going to call the cadence again, goal set hit. On hit, they're going to turn and we're just be doing handoffs to the right and then handoffs to the left after we go through. Present the ball. They're not taking a snap. They just have the ball in their hand. They're presenting that ball. Running back's going to take a good handoff, and they're going to try to get through the two cones without the defender pulling their flag. Now, it's really going to be important. Last week, a few things, that we're seeing is like staying inside the cones when you're running the ball, avoiding contact and like not running straight into the defender. Like we did a pretty good job of that. And the defender really making sure that they're in a good athletic stance and they're shuffling from side to side, not turning, not getting in a bad position. So it's a very similar concept. It's just we're going to introduce a handoff to this as well. So that way we got multiple stations throughout the day where we're practicing handoffs because that's a foundational skill. Third station, this is going to be a repeat from last week with just a slight tweak to it, snake drill. The only tweak to this versus what we did last week is the ball carrier is going to have a ball in their hand. That was something where, getting the running back used to just carrying the ball and holding on to it and everything. Like you don't turn the ball over and flag when you fumble, but the ball's dead when it hits the ground. So we want to make sure kids are just getting reps, holding on to the ball. We're going to have, two lines on each of these kind of rectangles at each diagonal. One cone's going to be for the offense. One cone's going to be for the defense. On hit, which the coach is going to be calling out at the station, offense runs around the cone in front of them and tries to get back through that line. Defender runs around that cone in front of them, tries to pull those flags. Really, really focusing on breaking down, not just flying in there and diving and things like that. Making themselves big, being in a good athletic position. If they need to move side to side, shuffling, things like that, being in a good position. And then lastly, the kind of for 6U, the new drill that we're introducing, that's not just a progression from the last week, is we're just going to start working on some basic throwing and catching, getting these kids used to, okay, how do you throw the ball? How do you hold it? Okay, when you're catching the ball, how do you catch it using your hands? So we're going to pair off the group when they get to the station, start them off like 5 yards apart, making sure they got a little bit of room in between each other. And they're just going to throw the ball back and forth, just playing catch. And we're going to be focusing on, okay, if you're a quarterback, get your hands on the laces, spread out your fingers, make sure you're kind of holding towards the back end of the football and you're releasing it at a good spot. And you're, just using just normal, not expecting like perfect technique. They're 6 years old, 5 and 6 years old, but, just getting some of the basics down. And then when you're catching, okay, make sure we're using our hands. If we're catching above our waist, or above our belly, realistically, kind of making that diamond shape out of our hands. If we're catching it below, we want to kind of cup the ball, putting our pinkies together and just getting used to using our hands as much as possible when we're catching it, rather than just kind of letting it, creating like a basket and letting it fall into our belly. If they're able to complete a few, like a pair is able to complete a few passes in a row for each player, then they can take a step back. But, you know, if it's inconsistent, the goal here isn't to be throwing bombs and seeing how far kids can throw. The goal here is just working on just the basics, catching, getting basic throwing done. So we only want them stepping back further if they're able to complete, you know, a handful in a row for each player without the ball getting dropped or hitting the ground. So that's what we got going on for 6U. 8U, we're going to be moving up a little bit, and you'll see that as we kind of progress through this, because, you know, I think the 8U group has more kids that have played before, both, you know, flag, things like that, different sports, and quite frankly, I think they're ready to move forward, and they need it to keep engaged and keep having fun like they did last week. Agenda, it's going to look very, very similar to last week. Starting at Station 1, which is the route station, we got the 49ers in red and the Saints in green. Starting at Station 2, which is the Snake Station, we got the Bucks in black and the Steelers in purple. Starting in Station 3, which is the sweep drill, we got Cardinals in yellow and Falcons in orange. Starting at Station 4, which is catching, we got the Jets in blue and the Packers in pink. Okay, so first station, where this is going to be a new one we're adding for route running. Really, we're just trying to get the kids to understand the fundamental concepts and getting good technique, both in their stance and when they're running routes. So we're going to start with 3 very basic routes: a hitch, a slant, and a go. So what we're going to do is we're going to have cones set up, so that way we can start setting like visual reminders on really what their keys should be, so we have consistency on how we're running our routes. So we'll have cones set up for a go, cones set up for a hitch, cones set up for a slant, break it up into 3 groups. And really, coaches going to yell them hit. The kids are going to start in a good stance with their weight on their front foot, making sure that they don't have any wasted or missteps or false steps or anything like that. They get off the ball and they're running, you know, clean, crisp routes. So we'll kind of go through this. Coaches will be coaching them up on, you know, different things they can do. And realistically, when they hit that second cone, in theory, like that's when they should be looking for that ball in an ideal state. So we'll just be introducing some basic routes to the kids and getting through that, getting some reps in there. Station number 2 is going to be the snake drill. A little bit of a progression from what we did last week. Really what we're going to be adding here is we're going to have a quarterback handing the ball off to the running backs. So similar to what I talked about with 6U, like 8U, the more we can get reps with handoffs while we're trying to work on other drills, the better, because that's something that just needs to be automatic. So similar concept. On hit, quarterback is going to present the ball, hand it off to running back. Running back's going to run around that cone and try to get through the line. Defender's going to run on the cone in front of them, try to pull the flag. Really, again, focusing on breaking down, you know, getting big, making sure that we're in a good position, good athletic position to pull flags. Next up, we got another new drill for this group. It's called the sweep drill. This is a really, really, really good drill to get kids used to both running in the open field, and especially on the defense, getting used to making plays in the open field, pulling flags, and starting to use the sideline as their friend. And offense, learning that the sideline is not their friend. Going out of bounds is the same thing as getting their flag pulled. So if you got a choice, you probably want to make the kid try to pull a flag rather than just, you know, running yourself out of bounds. Because when you force a kid to make a flag pull, they can make a mistake and it can, you know, create a big play. So we're going to set up cones. General idea here is the offense is going to start 5 yards off the ball. Defense is going to start 5 yards off the ball. There's going to be cones that are about 5 yards wide that kind of create like they represent like the edge of the sideline. On hit, that running back is going to run through those cones. After they get through those cones, they can go wherever they want. They can cut it back. They can run up the sideline, whatever it may be. So the faster that running back gets there and can make that decision, the faster they have options. Before they get to those cones, they have to cross through the cones. Defense, similar concept, but in reverse. The quicker you can get there, and you can essentially use your sideline as an extra set of defenders, because you can kind of close off space and really get them to get out of bounds. Realistically, on hit, they're going to be running the ball, going through the cones. Defense trying to pull the flags. Offense is trying to get through and get into open field without getting their flags pulled. And then the fourth station for 8U, another new one. This is going to work both catching and just some basic introductions to like defense and I guess, looking at like zone coverage. Realistically on defense, we're going to be looking at a lot of zone coverage. And as far as pass defense is concerned, ultimately it's up to the coaches on how they want to run their defense. But if you look at if you run a man coverage, it's going to create an opportunity for a lot of mismatches and bigger plays. So not saying we'll never run man coverage. Some coaches may decide just to run man, but we want to start teaching some basic concepts when it comes to zone, when it comes to pass defense, when it comes to catching. So we're just going to set this up where, there's going to be a cone, right there where the coach is going to be standing. About 7 yards out is going to be a cone where the defender starts the drill. About 3 yards back, there's going to be another cone. When the coach calls out hit, it's going to be like they're dropping back. Defender is going to drop back, kind of simulating the idea of like, okay, if you have a zone, let's start by dropping back to the back end of the zone, and then we can work forward rather than starting at the front side of the zone and trying to work backwards and letting kids get behind you. So they're gonna back step into the back end of the zone. Once they get there, coach is going to throw the ball. And the idea is that they're going to step up and try to, if the ball's high, they're going to try to high point that ball, get their hands up and get it. If it's low, then they're going to go after it. The idea here is they catch the ball, and just like if they make an interception in a game, then you want to run the opposite way. As soon as you pick that ball, you become a running back and you can house it. So that's what we're going to simulate here, where they catch the ball, they sprint through where the coach is, hand the ball off to the coach, next man up. So that's what we got going on for 8U. A few new drills progressing on what we worked on last week, and then one drill that we're carrying forward, but we're just adding another wrinkle to it to keep the momentum going, because the 8U group is definitely ready to keep moving forward. All right, 10U, what we got going on with them is we got 4 stations. Station number 1, partner snapping, Bengals in red, Broncos in black. Station number 2, pass routes, Browns in yellow, Chiefs in orange. Station number 3, the sweep, Dolphins in blue and Jaguars in pink. And station number 4, RPO, Panthers in green, Ravens in purple. So we're going to be starting off, I guess not everyone's going to start off at partner snapping, but everyone's going to go through same drills we did last week. Handoffs and snaps, they occur on a lot. I mean, snaps occur on every play. Handoffs occur on a lot of plays. We want these to be as automatic and predictable as possible, especially snapping. The ball hits the ground, you lose it down. So it's just a wasted opportunity. So the more we could rep snapping, especially now that we're going pistol formation for 10U and 12U, we're just going to get as many reps as we can. So same thing as they did last week, just, more practice. Next up, we are going to be doing pass routes. So last week, we really focused on learning the basics of running the routes without involving a ball. Here, we're going to introduce a ball. So we're going to have the coach throwing the passes. So we're going to have the cone set up the same way as last week for go, hitch, and slant. This time, the coach is going to be throwing the ball to them. A little bit, and I guess in theory, I can't make jokes about coaches not being able to throw because I have a horrible arm while I played offensive line my entire career. But the idea here is that a pass from a coach should be more predictable and more consistent. Again, we're working on running the routes and catching the balls. We're going to keep on progressing and getting the timing up and everything like that between quarterback and receiver. But now we're doing the same thing we did last week, introducing a ball to the mix. Good stances, good routes, hard cuts, looking for the ball, catch them with your hands. Third, we got the sweep drill, which is going to be basically identical to what I just talked through with 8U, where it's really focusing on getting to the sideline as a runner and then making decisions. Defender focusing on kind of boxing them in, getting them out, using the sideline as your friend. They're going to be separated out. On hit, they're going to run through the cones. Defender is going to try to pull flags. The runner is going to try to make it without getting their flag pulled. New one for 10U, we got RPO. I mean, not saying we're going to be running a ton of RPOs, but this is just a concept and a drill that allows us to work both a handoff and a pass from a quarterback perspective without having to worry about routes, without having to worry about a bunch of different variables. Again, getting reps, giving handoffs, getting reps by faking a handoff and making a good crisp pass and catching the ball with your hands. Just really working on progressing forward from what we did last week to what we're going to be doing by the end of the camp. So How we're going to set this up is we're going to have a cone representing the center. 3 yards back, we're going to have the quarterback who's going to start with the ball. And then we're going to have a cone where the wide receiver is going to be standing about 6 yards to the right or to the left and about 4 yards out. Kind of the idea is like, hey, probably where you'd want to be hitting the wide receiver on a slant route. But the wide receiver is going to be stationary. It's not going to actually be running a slant route. Separate out into 2 groups. First player up is going to go to the wide out. Second player to the quarterback. Third to the running back. On hit, the first time, the quarterback's going to hand the ball off to the running back, working on the handoff. And then they're going to quickly reset. And on hit, the quarterback's going to fake the handoff and throw to the wide receiver. So this gives us an opportunity to work on giving handoffs, work on faking handoffs, work on receiving handoffs, working on throwing, working on catching. So just foundational skills. We're starting to bunch a couple of these skills into the same drill to get more reps in. So that's what we're going to be doing with 10U. Lastly, we got 12U. Again, we're doing 4 stations this week instead of 3. So that way we can start working on more things. Station 1, partner snapping with the Texans in pink. Station 2, pass routes with the Giants in yellow, Patriots in orange. Station 3, sweep with the Seahawks in blue and Bears in red. And Station 4, the Bills in black. Okay, so we got partner snapping. Again, same thing as last week, just reps doing snaps and going through that. Station 2, going to be the same as last week. We're running routes, we're catching, we're throwing. So there's going to be quarterbacks. We're going to identify 1 or 2 quarterbacks in each group. The rest of the kids are going to be wide receivers. They're going to be going through running these routes. They're going to have cones to help guide the routes, and the quarterback's going to be throwing the ball. So that way quarterback and receivers can work on timing, they can work on route running, they work on catching, work on throwing, similar to what we did last week. Station number 3 is going to be the sweep drill. Same drill concept that we talked about for 8U and 10U. It's just we're doing it with 12U as well. It's a drill that, eventually, hopefully we get to, before the end of camp, we get to 6U running this drill as well. Sweep drill, snake drill are 2 flag pulling and defensive drills that, quite frankly, can apply across the board. They work on the fundamentals of playing defense, breaking down, pulling flags. And for the runners, it's great reps. Snake is more when you're running in traffic. Sweep, when you run the ball, it's more about running to the outside in open space. So we'll be going through the same concept as what I just talked about a couple of times before. And then the 4th drill is going to be something that's new for 12U, where we start working on rushing, both as a quarterback dealing with a rusher and as a defender working on when you're rushing, how you're going after the quarterback. So quick reminder, 8U, 10U, 12U, defense can rush the quarterback. 6U, they cannot. So for those 3 older divisions, as long as you're lined up and you are 7 yards away, both when the offense is set and when the ball is snapped, you can rush the quarterback if you want to. Ultimately, the coach is going to call up defenses. Sometimes they'll rush different people. Sometimes they won't rush. Whatever it may be, we got to introduce the basic concept of rushing to both the offense and the defense. So we're going to start with the orange cone as the center. 7 yards out from that, we're going to have a defender. 3 yards behind the center, we're going to have the quarterback. And we're going to have wide receiver on each side. So the quarterback's going to call hit, and the quarterback can avoid and the defender is going to rush, go after the quarterback, try to pull those flags as soon as the hit's called. Quarterback, when that rusher's coming in, they can sidestep, they can roll to the right, roll to the left. Really, they want to avoid the defender and make a good pass. It just introduces them to the concept of someone's going to be pressuring you, and you have a couple different options when it comes to avoiding that pressure and ultimately getting the ball out. Stationary targets this time to, again, kind of like crawl, walk, run. If they sidestep, quarterback can throw to either option at wideout. There's going to be a wideout cone, someone standing there on the right, someone standing on the left. If the quarterback rolls out, we need to get them to throw to that wide receiver on that side. Like, we don't want someone just rolling out all the way to the right and throwing all the way across the field, all the way across their body to the other side. That's a pretty easy recipe for an interception. So if you roll to the right, you throw to the right receiver. If you roll to the left, you throw to the left receiver. So just progressing on some of the concepts that we worked on last week. So that's what camp's going to look like this coming Sunday. Look forward to it. And then I'll be back dropping another video, what we're going to be going through the Sunday after spring break, since we were off for Easter. All right, thanks. Look forward to it.